Turning now to a series of hacking attacks against big American financial institutions. Here's a question. Is your bank being targeted for online assaults by Iran? Brian Todd has been looking into this story for us. I know you've been working on it for a few weeks. What are you learning?
Wolf, we know that the size, scope, and sophistication of these attacks is unlike anything experts have ever seen. 20 of America's top banks have been targeted in 3 waves of attacks since September, and many believe this had to be state-sponsored. Experts say they've never seen anything like it, a massive onslaught of cyber attacks on America's biggest banks, slowing down their websites, even forcing some to shut down temporarily, costing them money.
This is now, as a persistent threat, been the longest industrial sector attack that we've seen in the recorded cyber attack history.
The security firm Radware has investigated the attacks for the banks. They say it's been happening in 3 waves since September, with 2 attacks in just the past month. What makes this so alarming? The total number of banks attacked, 20 of America's top institutions. Carl Herberger of Radware won't name them, but CNN had confirmed during the first wave that these 5 had been hit. Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, US Bank, and PNC Bank. The scope and sophistication of the attacks, according to experts, points to a nation being behind this, not just a loose group of hackers. When the wave started in September, Senator Joe Lieberman, then chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, said, "I think this was done by Iran." Analyst James Lewis agrees, saying it's likely retaliation for previous cyber attacks on Iran and for other things.
The Iranians have paid a lot of attention since Stuxnet to cybersecurity and to developing their own attack capabilities. The trigger in this case was probably some attacks by unknown foreign parties against Iran's main oil terminal, Karg Island, back in the summer. And that appears to have led them to, retaliate and respond. And it's a good way to make a point that they aren't happy with sanctions.
Carl Herberger of Radware says Iran may not be behind this. Whoever it is, how are they doing it? Hackers often lasso a bunch of computers, making them do their bidding, just overflowing websites with requests and slowing them down or shutting them down. But in this case, experts say the hackers, possibly Iran, are not just taking control of a bunch of computers, but entire data centers, which bring more firepower to attack the banks. And Herberger says the hackers are also infiltrating the encryption process, the way we secure our online payments. Herberger says no accounts have been breached, no money has been stolen, but
these attacks are harbingers for the onslaught of potentially data leakage attacks or integrity-based attacks.
Translation, that means people's accounts could soon be breached in these attacks. Now, contacted by CNN, an Iranian official at the UN said this is a, quote, false allegation that Iran is behind these attacks, that his government categorically denies being behind them, and that these accusations are an attempt to poison the climate of negotiations over Iran's nuclear program. Wolf.
I know that there's a lot of suspicion that Iran was behind a recent cyber attack on Saudi Arabia's oil industry.
That's right. This is back in October. U.S. officials said at that time they believed that Iran was behind the attack against the Saudi oil giant Aramco. This is an attack in which more than 30,000 computers were rendered useless. It was pretty massive. Iran, they denied involvement in that attack as well.
Brian Todd, thanks very much. Good work.